This is what we're all told is how we began.
Man evolving up from the animal by a long series of evolutionary changes.
That we came out of the primordial sludge and step by step evolved into what we are today.
We branched off of a common ancestor to modern chimpanzees about 6 or 8 million years ago.
A common ancestor, some single-celled organism billions of years ago.
Darwin was right about the nature of how living things have arrived on the scene by descent from a common ancestor.
Monkeys and we both superseded the common ancestor which we share some 20 million years ago.
And by ancestry you mean?
Like long evolution or...
Okay, a long evolution back through time kind of thing like that, great.
I think that a lot of the information regarding evolution is taught uncritically. They're not asking students to really examine the evidence given and to ask whether or not that's a plausible explanation. It's more or less regurgitate the facts, regurgitate what we've told you.
I mean, theory shouldn't be taught as absolutes, like theological doctrines. Where there are problems, people should be exposed to them. And particularly when theories are very important, such as the theory of evolution is.
Evolution is a fact. It's a fact which is established as securely as essentially any other fact that we have in science.
Then they tell the kids, boys and girls, today you're going to learn to think critically. Watch this sentence here carefully. Some kid's doing this for homework tonight. Boys and girls, do you think humans are still evolving? Now what kind of question is that? That's one of those questions like, have you stopped beating your wife yet? Well, if I say yes, I'm admitting I did. If I say no, I'm still doing it. Wow. All right. Go back and look at the original question. Do you think humans are still evolving? Doesn't that question assume that evolution has happened? That teaches them what to think, not how to think. That's a Soviet-style indoctrination type question, and the textbooks are full of them.
That doctrine is poisonous and untrue.
Actual scientists have, over the past 150 years, reported many astounding facts that go against the theory of evolution.
All it did was show that the evidences in your biology textbooks for Darwinian evolution are, almost without exception, either distorted, exaggerated, or actually faked.
The present scientific community doesn't want people to know that. They want to promote the idea that anybody that's against evolution is somehow or other a religious fanatic, a crackpot.
Creationist.
What do you say back to them when they say you're a creationist?
Well, I usually don't get the opportunity.
Has this all been resolved? I mean, aren't we all Darwinists now? Except for a few cranks like you. How dare you challenge someone who's buried in the geniuses corner next to Newton at Westminster Abbey? You're sort of being a bomb thrower into science.
I am upsetting the apple cart, and I think it deserves to be upset in this case.
Why?
Because the evidence is being distorted to prop up a theory that I think doesn't fit it.
Well, it may seem a little cheeky, but it's what scientists are supposed to do.
The questions that aren't properly answered don't go away.
There's an argument on one side, there's bound to be an argument on the other. And what I found in studying the structure of the argument in The Origin of Species is that for every evidence-based argument for one of Darwin's two key propositions, there is an evidence-based counter-argument.
Well, but is it a debate? I mean, there's just you and a couple of other guys in a dinky little office downtown, say on one side, and there's the faculties of all the great universities of the world on the other side.
Speaking with a great uniform and authoritative voice.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in any case, the debate really isn't going to be settled by numbers. It's going to be settled by the evidence and the arguments.
How likely is it that we'd ever get a protein to arise by chance?
Does natural selection provide you with more information?
Can matter organize itself?
How did we get from an inorganic world to the world of the cell?
What was the source of the biological information in DNA?
Is there any proof that a creature has turned into another creature
So could you give me one observable evidence for Darwinian evolution where there's a change of kinds?
Can you give an example of a genetic mutation or an evolutionary process which can be seen to increase the information in the genome?
There are some orchids that have a funnel that is a foot deep, and there is a moth that just so happens to have a proboscis that unwinds that far, and he only pollinates that orchid. What are the chances of an orchid surviving for millions of years, not being able to be pollinated until a moth happens to develop the ability to pollinate that orchid?
I believe, profoundly believe, that this explanation is not the complete explanation for biological phenomenon. And I am absolutely certain that this will be acknowledged universally at some time in the future.
It's the universal acid that corrodes all traditional beliefs, religion, morality, to me, all the things that make society worth contributing to.
Darwin's theory of evolution is the last of the great 19th century mystery religions.
It has been drilled into your mind throughout your entire life and has been reinforced through repetition, time and time again.
Evolution favors those creatures best adapted to their environment. That is the sole test of survival and success.
Evolution is not only a dangerous theory because it's based on lies only, it's dangerous because it removes all morality. Evolution is a dangerous philosophy because it's the foundation for racism. The idea that one race of people is superior to another comes from evolution. Here's Darwin's book, The Origin of Species. That's not the whole title.
Let me read to you the whole original title. The origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life.
A Darwinian belief that evolution is based on a struggle for survival, with the fittest being the winners. So that, what does all this lead to? It leads to a belief of materialization, that matter is all there is, and that people fight over the matter, because whoever has the most matter wins, according to the Darwinian theory of having the most and being the winner and being the fittest. And it makes a whole world based on competition.
Evolution is the foundation for immorality. It's the foundation for humanism, the foundation for racism. And now we're going to cover evolution is the foundation philosophy for Nazism, communism.
The connection between Hitler and Darwin is, of course, historically a difficult connection because they were separated by a good many years. One was English, one was German. Nonetheless, if you open Mein Kampf and read it, especially if you can read it in German, the correspondence between Darwinian ideas and Nazi ideas just leaps from the page. Of course, you have to add every historical caution. Not everyone who read Darwin became a Nazi. Obviously not. No one is making that case. Darwinism is not a sufficient condition for a phenomenon like Nazism, but I think it's certainly a necessary one.
Embracing evolution is really embracing the idea of survival of the fittest. It's embracing racism, it's embracing euthanasia, and it's okay to kill those who are inferior, because what happens in the animal world? It's survival of the most superior species.